What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is #NoRegrets, and in today's video, I'm bringing you the third installment of the Citizen's Guide to the Galaxy, Mining and You. That's right, we're going to be looking at one of the most popular ways to make money in almost every single space game, especially EVE. Now, if you take a look at past space games, mining has been a complete staple in how the economy works. And for the most part, it's also a very easy profession to get into and do. It doesn't require a whole lot of work, and in many cases, you can start the mining and tab out while your ship does the work. Well, in Star Citizen, mining isn't going to be a profession that is devoid of danger. And in some cases, players aren't always the main threat. Sure, as a miner, you run the real risk that you might run into a pirate, but there are some much more hidden dangers associated within mining itself. There's also going to be multiple roles associated with mining itself, meaning that multi-crew mining ships will need to have a form of teamwork in order to get the job done, and each of these roles will be made to demand the operator's full attention. In order to get a good feel of everything that is involved in mining, let's take it from the top. Every miner is going to make their way to their local TDD, also known as a Trade and Development Division. We're most likely going to see these on most space stations as well as cities. The TDD will serve as a hub where people can go to see prospective job offerings, as well as commodities and various other things. But one of the most important things a player will be able to look at is what is in demand, and for a miner, that means they can see what materials and ore are going to offer the highest profit margins. This is also where a miner, and all people interested in jobs for that matter, are going to make one of their most important decisions. Are you going to be self-employed, also known as a freelance worker, or are you going to work for an employer as an agent? Both of these options are going to significantly play into your profit as well as your job hazards. On one side of the coin, being freelance means that you have more room to profit due to the freedom you would possess to pick and choose your preferred material, your trading post, and the time at which you sell said material, offering the greatest profit margin. However, it comes at a price. You're at the mercy of the free market. The ore you mined could have dropped in price to the point that you are no longer covering your expenses, not to mention any damages you might have taken while you were mining. On the flip side, if you work as an agent for a larger entity, you will receive contracts and now have removed a majority of the risk. Your paycheck will be exactly what it said when you picked up the job, and you'll be retrieving a specific material for a specific individual, and then will drop it off at a specific location. That being said, you now run the risk of your reputation as a worker being damaged if you are unable to complete that contract. And a damaged reputation leads to a more difficult time finding another job. This is where things start to get interesting. Now that you have a job or a desired material to go after, the wisest move to make here is to find out information regarding where to mine. And there's a few ways to do this. The first and most obvious way is to consult the public knowledge system. For each solar system that you are currently in, there is going to be a wealth of public knowledge that will include the locations of major asteroid fields, but due to them being so well known, you're going to run into one issue. That being that all of the most sought after materials will most likely be mined already, and what's left will require great time and effort to be reached. The second and somewhat riskier option is to buy the coordinates of a lesser known or unknown asteroid field. This option is going to offer an opportunity for you as a payer to employ the services of an NPC or player information broker. The most reputable, of course, will mostly relay accurate information, but there's always a risk that a lesser known broker will exaggerate what he's talking about, or he'll outright scam you and give you coordinates that lead nowhere. The third and final option is what I personally would do if I were a miner and offers the most potential to be extremely lucrative or extremely dangerous. That option is just to hop into an exploration ship and find your own asteroid field. Doing this would make you a pioneer, which is another profession that will be available in-game, but long story short, you explore the verse scanning for anomalies and investigate them. In a miner's case, you'd be looking for asteroid fields that contain a desirable material. You may find what you would deem as a gold mine, or you might come up empty-handed. Or the quote-unquote gold mine that you found might turn out to be a trap laid out by pirates. This option all comes down to high risk, high reward. So now what? We found our stomping grounds, but now what do we do? Now you get to actually get into the mining, and there's going to be two ways to go about it, solo or multi-crew. Let's take a look at multi-crew first. The Orion, at the moment, is the only multi-crew mining vessel we have to look at. And seeing as it is multi-crew, it's a huge ship, which is going to allow for a huge cargo capacity and mining on an industrial level. As a multi-crew ship, it allows us to analyze the different roles, or better yet, specialists involved in mining. The first specialist is also the most obvious in the whole lineup. That's the pilot. The pilot's job seems fairly simple, seeing as he is responsible for navigation, which is crucial since asteroids can cause major damage, but there's a little bit more on the pilot's plate than meets the eye. A good pilot is going to need to circle the chosen asteroid to help the beam operator get the best opportunity to find and extract the pockets of valuable ore. On top of that, seeing as asteroids will likely have explosive gases, the pilot will also need to be ready to get out of Dodge if something goes wrong. The second specialist is the beam operator, and he is responsible for, well, obviously operating the cutting beam. Essentially, the operator will be breaking the asteroid into smaller pieces that can then be processed. He will have direct control of the wattage or power allocated to the beam, which can essentially make it be able to extract non-volatile material quickly or turn down the power so it can surgically remove more volatile materials without causing an explosion. To accomplish this task, the operator is going to have a few tools available to him. The first tool would be the exothermic reaction detector. This tool is essentially a bar graph that shows the thermal level and the probability of a chain reaction of the materials close to the mining beam. Mismanagement of exothermic energy could result in an explosion consuming everything within a certain area. The second tool is a laser seismometer, which in layman's terms measures the severity of the seismic tremors generated by carving pieces out of the asteroid. These tremors gradually dissipate, and if allowed to build and become more severe, could cause the asteroid to explode and send pieces flying at the hull of your ship, causing some sort of damage. Keep in mind, many small tremors can also become dangerous. Also, seismic explosions are considered to be more powerful than chain reactions due to exothermic energy. The last tool is the analytical materials processor, which is just a high-energy scanning probe that constantly relays what kind of materials are beneath the surface, and in which direction. This probe also has limited range. So this tool just essentially tells the beam operator which way he needs to be mining and how far. The beam operator has easily the most intense and failure-prone job out of all of them. And again, understandably, he's operating a giant laser around big rocks that could potentially explode. The third specialist is the cargo operator, and his duties are exactly what they sound like. This person will be on the bridge of the Orion interacting with a panel that will give him a view outside the ship from a camera. From here, the cargo operator will have access to a scanner that will tell him the exact composition of the pieces of asteroid being extracted, and he'll be able to then use a tractor beam to pull valuable fragments in. Likewise, he will also have access to a repulsor beam, which he can then use to push undesirable pieces away for easier access to the desirable pieces. On top of all of this, there will be a readout displaying the mass, trajectory, and velocity of the pieces, and both the repulsor and attractor beams will require tuning. This will make the cargo operator's job extremely skill-based. The last and final specialist on the Orion is the refinery operator. This individual will be responsible for processing the raw ore into its more refined and desirable state. This person will have direct control over the routing of the ore into specialized machines, and errors while doing so can cause these processing units to cause equipment or component failure, resulting in a cost of time as well as in respect to repairs. So those are all of the specialties that we currently know about. There could be more or there could be less, but I would wager that those are probably all the ones that you're going to see on multi-crew ships. But at the moment, we only have the Orion to really tell. On the other hand, you might want to go it alone, and the Misk Prospector is the only single-seater mining vessel we can reference at the moment. The carrying capacity is going to be greatly reduced, as well as it not having any way to refine ore, meaning one more stop on your trip if you need a refined product. Also, all of the responsibility of the jobs is going to be put on you, the pilot. One advantage that this ship will have over a ship like the Orion is it will be able to go into a planet's atmosphere, land, and mine on the planet's surface. It also allows for a single person to get a taste for the mining industry. The Prospector will also boast more accurate scanners, but they will be operating on a much smaller scale than the Orion, meaning that you will be picking and choosing what minerals you want to mine specifically instead of the more mass production mentality that the Orion will have. From what we know, you're still going to be responsible for performing all the aforementioned specialty jobs from your cockpit. However, it is very possible that you could have a buddy or two stow away on your ship, and they'll be able to look at readouts while you're operating the mining beam. But we won't know for sure until the mining mechanic is implemented. The final stop in your voyage after collecting your ore, and possibly refining it, is to now get rid of it and sell it. This is probably the easiest part, but keep in mind, pirates would much rather attack a vessel full of cargo than an empty vessel. If you're working under a contract, then it's really simple. All you have to do is return to the person you accepted the job from and complete the transaction. Upon completion, you'll get paid and receive a boost to your reputation as a worker. However, if you have more material than was desired, you will have to sell it yourself. If, however, you chose to freelance it, you have many more options available to you, such as scour the local TDDs for the best price. You could also put it in storage and wait on it to sell it high, or you could even take your material from one system that has a low demand to a system of high demand to make the most profit. In the end, mining in Star Citizen is going to be quite an attention-demanding and interesting profession to get into, as opposed to certain other space games. You're definitely not going to be setting your ship to mine and then be able to tab out and watch Netflix like you could with other certain games. Eve. Anyways, if you guys have any more questions or comments, please put them in the comment section below, and please consider joining the squad today and hitting that subscribe button. If not, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, well, I guess you could give it a thumbs down, but why would you? Anyways, my name is #NoRegrets, and I'll see you in the next episode of the Citizen's Guide to the Galaxy. Peace!